talking about your brand, we are talking about a very specific thing. It's the way you talk to people. It's how you're attracting your dream clients. It's the products you put out there. It's all of your brand assets. And it's the way you show up from a marketing and sales perspective.
Welcome to Thrive by Design, the podcast for ambitious, independent jewelry brands looking to profit from their products. Get ready to make more and sell more doing what you love without spending every single waking minute doing it. Hey, and if you're a creative, fashion, or product-based business, I want to welcome you to the show. I'll be dropping big tips on launching, growing, and scaling your business so you can spend more of your precious time using your creativity to make money. You ready? All right, let's do this.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It's 2024. Can you believe it? Well, I'm actually recording this at the end of 2023, but you know what I mean. We're releasing this podcast on January 2nd, and I am beyond thrilled that you are listening and I'm in your earbuds right now because I love using this time at the beginning of the year to really uplevel everything that we're doing in our business. You know, we've just gotten out of the busy holiday season, and I'd love to hear how your holiday sales went. Please reach out to me on Instagram at Tracy Matthews NY because I definitely want to hear. And for some reason, the new year is just a great time to create this fresh start. So we're going to be talking about that today. In particular, we're going to be talking about positioning strategies that allow you to overhaul your brand in a way that is simple, easy, and fun, but allows you to stand out in a saturated jewelry market. Just like the name of my book. Anyway, and create a desired brand because that's really what we're going for. We want to be attracting those people who love what you do, who become your lifelong fans and refer your products over and over to the people that they loved. And, you know, I get it. A lot of you listening to this show, you are time strapped. You don't have a lot of time to work on this. So I want to give you some support in making sure that your brand overhaul for 2024 is simple and easy peasy. So we're bringing it back, the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. And it is new and improved. We are so excited about this. We are bringing you the latest and greatest in marketing and branding starting January 22nd. And we're running this 5-day boot camp unlike we've ever done before. And on top of that, we're going to be giving away 3 scholarships to our game-changing program, Laying the Foundation. So let me ask you a question. Are you tired of endless hours on Instagram, having to host huge discount sales that barely make a dent, or feeling like your business is just not taking off? Well, it's time to step into your destiny as a successful independent jewelry maker with our proven strategies. In our newly updated bootcamp, you're going to discover the essential steps to transition from overworked maker to thriving jewelry business owner, learn how to adjust your pieces in the face of inflation without losing your dream clients, and master selling more on Instagram and Facebook in just 15 minutes a day. We're also going to be offering a brand new bonus masterclass called the 0 to 6-Figure Jewelry Business Roadmap, along with mentorship from experienced jewelry business owners who are crushing it and implementing these strategies for themselves. So if you'd like to join us, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover. You can sign up for free right there today. And on top of that, if you're someone who is time strapped, we are going to help you just like we helped Emi Okawa of Eclo Art, who says that by joining this bootcamp, she's able to implement strategies for growth in small and manageable steps because she's the mother of 2 young children. So I get it. All of you out there who are working a full-time job, or you're a mom, or you just don't have a lot of extra time on your hands, we are going to get it done in a short period of time. So head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover and join us for this free bootcamp. And I promise to bring the value. Okay, so let's dive into today's episode. I was opening up my phone, honestly, to get the little snippet that Emmy had sent me talking about how amazing the bootcamp was. And Donais sent me the sweetest message saying, no wonder being a visionary runs in your blood. I just listened to your most recent episode and I am floored. She gave me a heck yes. So I just want to give you a shout out, Donais, who is a graduate of our Laying the Foundation program. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love hearing from you guys. So if anyone else wants to reach out to me on Instagram, please do, because it literally makes my day. And I love knowing that I'm not just out here talking into a void, because it sometimes feels like that. Anyway, she was saying that it's just been amazing over the years to watch our community grow. And it's been incredible for me too. I just can't believe that we reach so many people. We've had over 9,000 students in our program, which is just like remarkable. Anyway, enough about that. I just wanted to give Denise a little shout out and get back to this brand positioning stuff, because this is good. And I'm going to give you just a couple. This is like the tip of the iceberg, because there's so many things that you can do. If you've ever read my book, The Desired Brand Effect, or you've been in one of our boot camps, or you've watched me describe our genius model, there is so much to this. But when we're talking about your brand, we are talking about a very specific thing. It's the way you talk to people. It's how you're attracting your dream clients. It's the products you put out there. It's all of your brand assets. And it's the way you show up from a marketing and sales perspective. So that when we're talking about branding, that is what we're talking about. So I'm just going to give you some easy strategies that you can use to overhaul your brand and create a stronger brand position so you're standing out in this saturated jewelry market with your timeless brand. So the first thing that I want to talk about is your product. Now, this is the thing that most people lead with, which is fantastic. And it becomes the chicken or the egg scenario sometimes, because people will say to me, like, do I design product for the kinds of people that I want to attract, or do I design product that I like to make and go from there? Well, it's a little bit of a combination of both, because obviously creativity and your design point of view, as I like to call it, comes from inside of you. It's like part of you, right? So it's not something that should be altered necessarily, unless you're deciding that you want to manufacture or mass market stuff and all you're doing is trying to create consumable products, which I don't think that most of the people listening to this podcast do. I mean, they have a jewelry business or a jewelry brand because at a certain point along the way, they realized that they enjoyed making or creating or designing jewelry. So then they started making some stuff and getting it out there. And what ended up happening is people started commenting on it and wanting to wear it. And so whether you have a successful brand that's doing millions of dollars right now and you're listening to this being like, yeah, that's exactly how I started, or you're someone who's just starting out and you want to do this kind of as a side hustle, or maybe build a business that can potentially replace your full-time income, we all kind of started with that same seed of creativity, right? We knew that we had something that we loved to make and we wanted to get it out into the world. And with that being said, I know that most people listening to this, one of the most satisfying things, even to this day for me, is to see someone wearing and loving a piece of jewelry that I made. And so this is your opportunity to really create that mark with your design and your signature style, which, depending on where you are in your journey, might be totally dialed in, which is awesome. But for others of you, you might be trying to find your way. And so that's why I really want to start by encouraging you to push yourself a little bit further in innovation and creativity in your design. There is a lot of product out there that looks the same as everyone else. And the more that you can create something that is uniquely yours, even if it's down to just a little tiny detail, the easier it will be to position your brand in a way that stands out to others. So I want to really push you when it comes to that. Now, later on in this month, I think in 2 more episodes, I am interviewing Chelsea Farmer and Dawn DeJezery, and we had a great conversation. And Chelsea has a jewelry company called Horse Feathers Gifts. Chelsea is one of my head coaches over here and a total badass. So if you're a part of our community, you've seen her. And Dawn runs our Laying the Foundation program, which is incredible. So Chelsea creates a simple product. She's started with these very simple jewelry that is primarily gemstone based, that is designed for people who live in the Midwest. Like, that's her dream client. They're farm girls at the core, right? One of the ways that she has really positioned herself and her product, not only down to the little details and the things that she makes and how she packages everything and her branding, which we'll get to in a minute, is this one thing in particular: size inclusivity. Because she knows that her dream clients might be a little bit thicker in the wrists in other places. And so she wants to make sure that the products she's designing actually works for them. So this is her way of being more creative and innovative in how she's delivering her products to her customer. Now, another thing that you want to think about when it comes to product is your pricing strategy. Now, if you are new to figuring out how to price your product, all good. Like this can all be figured out. And we actually teach you several different pricing strategies inside of our Laying the Foundation program. But more than anything, to make sure that you're priced the right way for your business. Lower is not always better. I did this case study of Allison Hayes a while back, and she is a graduate also of our Laying the Foundation program and several of our other programs over here. And she kept trying to price her product to the bottom, and she couldn't figure out why at these craft shows she was doing in Santa Fe, New Mexico, why people would walk into her booth, compliment her on the jewelry. They literally were about to buy, and then they would ask how much the piece was and walk out. And they asked her what the materials were, and she'd say sterling silver. Then they'd ask the price, and then they'd walk out. You know why? Because her pricing wasn't in alignment with what someone thought in their head the pricing should be for those pieces of jewelry. And so it wasn't until one day she decided to rip off all the tags and double all of her prices that everything sold out in the same day. It really does work. And this is not about pricing more expensively. It's about pricing the right way, because pricing that is too high, that doesn't match the mind of the perceived value inside of the customer's mind, is actually doing the same thing and repelling people as pricing too low. So I want to be clear on that. It's not about just raising your prices. And then the final thing that I would like to touch on with products, an easy way to just overhaul your product line, is to ask your existing customer base, especially those ones who keep buying from you over and over again, feedback on your product line. You can do this by sending out a quick survey or even taking some informal polls on social media, in stories, and some of these other places to just get customer feedback. And the more you get the hang of this, the easier it is to do. So take a look at your product. Where do you want to push yourself to innovate more? And how are you going to create that brand positioning and signature style with everything that you're doing, from the pricing, from what is really landing with your customers, from brand positioning, and so much more. And also, obviously, your design aesthetic, which is super important. So the next 3 topics that I'm going to talk about are really, actually, almost everything that I'm talking about today, let me dial that back, are part of your brand identity, primarily because your product is part of your brand identity. But because brand identity is such a big topic, and it technically includes everything from your personality of your brand, your messaging, the visual representation of your brand, your target audience, like all that stuff, it becomes such a big topic that it's hard to break it down. So I'm going to break it down into smaller little chunks. So my second little overhaul strategy is to up-level your messaging. And this is a time to really audit what you stand for. As a business, we just went through our annual planning early December, and we created our Vision Traction Organizer. We use the EOS operating system over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. And one of the things that we revisited, and we do this every single quarter, is we revisit our vision for the company, we revisit our core values, and we visit what in EOS they call our 3 uniques. But these would definitely be more along the lines of like your why or your brand positioning, or the things that like make you different from other people. And so as we're going through this, we're taking a look at all of these things, like, do these still land and resonate? Or is this something that we need to update and evaluate so that we're on track with our messaging and we're not being convoluted in the way that we're speaking? And so I really want to encourage you to take a look at your brand messaging. This is your opportunity to reassess your brand's core values, to reassess the vision for your brand, to reassess your mission for your brand. Vision is more the direction you're going. Your mission is kind of like what you stand for. It's tightly wrapped in with your core values, but it's just typically one statement, just to be clear on that. And then also really getting clear on like who the people you're serving are and why these things matter to them. So I would encourage you to do a messaging audit. And if you want help doing this, we do parts of this inside of the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. I'm giving you some of my best stuff for free. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover. Sign up now for free. Even if you've taken all of our programs, we have people repeating and doing this over and over again every single year. In fact, I retired the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp for 3 years. And when it came back, we had our biggest bootcamp resurgence in many, many years when we brought it back last year. So we're going to help you revisit at a high level, and this is going to super help you. So let's do that. So do your messaging audit, and also think like, Am I living in alignment with these core values? Is my company running in alignment with the things that I say that they're doing? And do I have a clear vision of really what that looks like? And so this is an opportunity for you to really revisit that for yourself, and also to maybe ask some other people to take a look on the inside. So one great strategy that you can take to just understand how other people perceive you is this. Reach out to maybe 5 of your best customers and send them a quick note. When you think of my jewelry brand, what are 3 or 5 things that you think of immediately? Words, phrases, descriptions. Have them reflect that back to you and see what comes back to you. Are these 2 things resonating in alignment? I'm sure that some tears might come to eyes in a good way, because you're going to be like, you really think that of me? Like, it's incredible what people come back with. But this is a great way for you to just get a lot of clarity on what are some of the things that, how is the world perceiving me, and how am I trying to put myself in the world, and is there alignment there? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. I hope so. Now, the next part of this, your brand identity, is your brand personality or voice. And so in the Desire Brand Effect, this is all about creating desire, and brands, faceless brands are dying. You can't just like have a product and put it out there and expect people to buy. People who don't want to show up for their business and they don't have a huge budget to hire a marketing agency and stuff like that really struggle when they try to be a faceless brand. And I get it. You might be shy. You might be afraid of going on video and all these things. But the more that you can build up the courage and the confidence and the inner strength to put yourself out there, and also create a personality for your brand, even if it's an alter ego that feels separate from you, the better results you're going to get when it comes to everything that you do in your marketing. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Like, what do I want people to perceive my brand as? Is it a serious luxury brand? Is it a playful brand? Is it an approachable brand? Is it something where there's humor infused with it and I just laugh all day and that's what people know me for? Or are people taking me seriously because I'm a serious metalsmith and this is how I do things and stuff like that? So, and any of those things are absolutely 100% fine. But the more that you can really get clear on what that looks like, the more important for it. So like for me, for both my personal brand and for Flourish and Thrive, one of our core values and one of the ways that I like to be out there in the world is to be perceived as having fun. And the reason why I say that is because fun is one of my number 1 core values. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, and fun is one of our core values for Flourish and Thrive Academy, because everything, in my opinion, is better when you're having fun. And so I want to be playful. I want to be out there. You're going to see me laughing on the podcast when I'm having guest interviews. You're going to see me in my master classes having a good time and really trying to add value and doing the best. And so that's just who we are. And so whatever you can do to put that out, to put whatever it is for you out there in the world, evaluate what that energy that you're trying to put behind it is, and think through the lens of like, we always talk about dream client avatar, but we don't talk enough about like a brand client or a brand identity avatar, I guess is the best way to put it. And you can literally do like, what's the energy that you want behind your brand, and how can you put that out there in a bigger way? So develop that brand personality and voice. And then taking it a step further, if you haven't done so yet, and we teach you how to do this inside of our Laying the Foundation program, but create a commonly used language doc and something that you can pull from so that you have copy snippets and things that are easy for you to like really dial in the energy of your brand. Like, here are the things that we always say, here are the things that we never say, and this is who we are. And so that just makes it easier down the road if you ever want to hire someone to actually do your marketing for you or write for you and all those things. Now, so I talked about product, I talked about your brand messaging, I talked about your personality and your brand voice. Now we're going to talk about visual branding. So this is everything that you use to market your business, from the design, the color schemes, your packaging, how you design your catalogs and line sheets. Perhaps it's your website, anything that is a visual asset that is used to promote your business. So this is really important. So here's a simple tip to organize and update and elevate your branding is create a brand standards visual branding guide. So this would include like your color palette, your fonts, any other things that you use or don't use from a visual aspect in that. pull it together, see how it looks. If you still love it, great. If not, it's probably time to revisit those things. And if you don't have the budget to hire a professional branding expert, come chat with us and head on over to and join us for the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp, because we'll talk a little bit more about that inside the bootcamp as well. But this visual aspect is very clear. Like when I was talking with Chelsea a while back, we were talking, we review a lot of Instagram accounts and stuff like that. And we're just like, we can't believe what some people put on their Instagram. They're trying to sell jewelry. They're not really doing a good job because their images are out of focus, or there's like random pictures of a weird angle of their dog next to like a diamond ring or something like that. And then next to another piece of jewelry that doesn't match the diamond ring. Like it's like so scattered and not really thought through that it becomes hectic and overwhelming. When I think of someone like Chelsea, who's done a really great job creating a visual brand that has a color palette and everything, you go to her Instagram, even though Instagram is not her number one platform for promoting her business, and it feels peaceful because she has presets in Lightroom and everything kind of looks the same, and she's really going all in to create a visually appealing brand. And so a little strategy here to update your visual branding: take a look, or have other people take a look at your Instagram, your social media, your website, and ask for constructive feedback on what they think about it. I would describe your ideal customer to them, or your dream client, or even ask someone who is your dream client, who is not your friend because they want to be nice, who is willing to give you candid feedback on your branding, and have them tear it down and tell you what they think of it. Because inevitably, a lot of you out there are DIYers, and you're trying to build your business while your kid's taking a nap, or you're trying to build your business on your lunch break, or you're trying to build your business on weekends and evenings. And I totally get it, because that's what I did when I was starting my business back in the 90s. I hustled just like many of you are today. And so I understand like how it is when you're trying to scrap it all together and figure out branding on your own. I get it. It's a challenge. And that's why we've created programs like Laying the Foundation, of course, over here. I know so many of you have taken it, because it is literally the equivalent of taking a 4-year branding, marketing, and sales program at a university for a fraction of the cost. Because I get it. Like, you didn't learn how to do this, in your day job, or at the, taking a liberal arts major or whatever you did when you were in school back in the day. And they also don't teach you visual branding when you are taking your metal arts classes. Like if you got a degree or an MBA and you're in metal arts or something like that, it's not something that they taught you as part of the curriculum. And I get it. And so if you don't know it already, then it's time to learn. So visual branding, it's really important to have a cohesive look and feel. Simple tip to sort of get your brand together is to create a visual branding guide that kind of shows all the different color palettes, your logo, all the things that you have to utilize from a visual branding perspective. Organize that in a folder on your computer and make sure that you have it at your fingertips, just like that. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about, which is a super huge topic, is marketing and sales. So I'm going to come at this with a higher level overview, because marketing and sales is like such a big, massive topic. But everything that you're doing from a branding positioning standpoint directly influences your marketing and sales strategy. And so if you're looking from a positioning standpoint and you're wanting to overhaul your marketing and sales systems and processes, I'm just going to give you a couple of pieces of advice here. Now, the first thing is that, and the first mistake I see a lot of people making, is that they aren't really sure who they are, what they stand for, or where or how they want to sell when they're kind of just starting out. And until you have a more established brand, you're starting to evaluate more like what is really working for you. So what I'd recommend, especially for those of you who are just kind of finding your way, is picking one or two things and doing it really well. So there's a lot of social media platforms out there. We got Instagram, TikTok, Threads now. We got Facebook. We got, I don't know, what else is out there? Pinterest, which is not really a social media platform, but it is a social search platform. We've got YouTube. There's all these things that are tools that can help us get more traffic and sales to our website. But if we try to do them all, what ends up happening is that we aren't doing any of them very good at all. And so when we don't do them very well, then everything is just vanilla and we don't get a great result. So if you are time strapped, or you're someone who is struggling to get the kind of sales and revenue that you want, then this is your opportunity to just do one thing well. Like if Instagram, your people are hanging out on Instagram, do Instagram really well. If your people are on Facebook, do Facebook really well. If your people are searching on Pinterest, which I think is a great tool for almost everyone, do Pinterest really well. You don't need to do everything, just pick the one thing. And then from here, most importantly, I want you to stop spreading yourself too thin. So the same goes through with your sales channels. So if you are trying to make sales, I want you to focus on 1 or 2 avenues that you're going to do really well. So if you crush it at in-person shows, and that is a great way for you to make immediate sales, then double down on your in-person shows. And while you're doing that, start to build an email list from the in-person connections that you're making. And then for your second sales channel, follow up with those people and try to sell online, because that is going to be a strategy that works well together. If your number one strategy is wholesale, then focus on wholesale, because wholesale is a long game, my friends. And if you want to really build a robust wholesale business with all the competition out there, you need to be spending a lot of time doing it. So I would do that, and then pick one other sales channel that you want to focus on, whether that be online or maybe in-person shows. So you decide, do 1 or 2 sales channels really well. And then once you've really got those dialed in and systematized and organized, then I'd recommend branching out into other sales strategies. Now, one more thing about marketing and sales, because I know a lot of you here don't have a lot of time to focus on everything that you need to do to grow your business. If you are wondering why your business is not getting the sales that you want, I want you to do a time audit and see where you're spending your time, the time that you're working on your business. If the majority of it is tinkering around and just making a bunch of stuff and then taking photos and just posting it on Instagram, well, that's fine. That's technically not a revenue generating activity unless you're producing orders. I would highly recommend that you instead start to focus on the things that are actually generating money. So what I want you to do is to make a list of all the things that you've done in the past that have resulted in a financial reward, meaning someone has exchanged money for your product. For those of you who are more established in business, I get it. This might be basic.com. But if you're a solo business owner trying to grow your business alone, your time is really divided by all the things that you have to do. So make a list of all the ways that you've made money. And even if you are an established business owner and you're wanting to grow, make a list of all the ways that you've made money and create a report in your QuickBooks or whatever you're doing, and see where the majority of your income is coming from, and then dial that down into actual sources if you can break it down. Like, is it a certain store or is it a certain avenue? And then whenever you need money, you can dial down and continue to do more of that. So the more clarity that you have on what is working, the more you can lean into revenue generating activities that are going to actually grow your business. So just to clarify what that looks like, revenue generating activities are anything that directly makes you money. So that might be doing a text outreach campaign to your previous customers to check in on them and see how they're enjoying your piece. And then after you have a conversation, suggestive selling them another piece of jewelry. It might look like doing wholesale outreach to your wholesale accounts and building your wholesale dream store list and having a follow-up strategy where you're on a constant repeat cycle of reaching out to new people and then following up with the people that you've pitched. Also, if you're selling wholesale, it might be following up on the people that you've shipped orders to for reorders. There's a lot of different ways and different things to think about here. If you're doing in-person show strategies, it might be, researching what are some of the best shows that you can participate in this year and getting your application in, and then preparing for more additional shows or booking other types of shows in your local area where you can get in front of your ideal customers. If you're selling online, this might be dialing in and mapping out your marketing calendar, sending out emails. This might be working on your social media strategy and your Pinterest strategy to get traffic going back and forth to your website. So there's so much that you can do on an ongoing basis, and it's your requirement to keep focusing on those things. But inevitably, I know a lot of you who aren't getting what you want in your business are focusing on the things that aren't actually creating the result that you want. And so take a look at those things. If they're not garnering a result, you got to take a look at what's happening behind that, because it might just be that you're being shy or worried about putting yourself out there. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I released a podcast episode with Miriam Schulman, And she said something along the lines of, do you procrastinate because you lack confidence, or do you lack confidence because you procrastinate? So if you're lacking confidence and you're procrastinating, take a look at those two things, because the way to overcome fear and like a lack of confidence is actually to just do the thing that you've been putting off anyway. And then you're going to feel more confident, right? Anyway, that's my episode for today. Let me recap these 5 strategies. So first, you want to give your product suite an overhaul. Take a look at what's working. Take a look at maybe where you could be a little bit more innovative with your design. Take a look at where you can really dial in a signature style a little bit more. Number 2, brand messaging. This is all about really diving deep into the things that make your brand yours. So this might be your core values, your mission, your vision, who you're speaking to, and are you living by those values? And is your brand really aligned with those values? And do you have a clear vision of where you're going? This is really important. Number 3, this is all about the personality that you put out there. Remember, faceless brands are dying. Like, give your brand a personality and make it your own. So everything that we talked about from the brand messaging perspective really informs your brand personality, but think about the energy that you want to put out there into the world. Visual branding, number 4. This is really important. Like, how do the visuals all tie together? Do you have professional looking branding suite? Are you like in alignment with the stuff that you're putting out there? Do you have a professional looking website? Do you even have a website yet? Like, all of these things are really important in attracting your dream customers. And finally, marketing and sales. How are you putting yourself out there, and how are you really prioritizing the things that are going to generate and bring you money in the short term? All right, this is Tracy Matthews signing off. Till next time, I want to thank you so much for listening to the show today. What a great episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. And happy, healthy New Year to everyone out here listening. I am excited to hear a little bit more about what you are manifesting and bringing in to this new year. So if you'd like to reach out to me on Instagram and share one of your goals with me, I would be super pumped. And even better yet, let's participate and play full out at the end of January in the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover and join us for this epic, game-changing bootcamp today.